Hope my screen is visible. I'll just start again. Yeah. Okay. Yesterday we started with hazardous manufacturing and storage of import of hazardous chemicals rules 1989. So as I said, it came from Environmental Protection Act. There we talked about which are the chemicals falls under hazardous chemicals. As we seen, the chemicals which are listed in Schedule 1, Column 2, as well as Column 2 of Schedule 2 and 3. So these are the set of chemicals will be considering as hazardous chemicals. Then importer, we have seen importer. Who is meant by importer? The person who is, or the institution or the organization who is importing chemical from the outside India. And as we see, an exporter who is exporting the chemical out of India. Okay. Then we have seen what is mean by industrial activity, and we also covered a major accident. Okay. Then we have seen definition of site and threshold. It is nothing but the quantities which are mentioned in the three schedules in this respective rules. Then we have seen the duties of authorities. Okay. Then general responsibilities of the occupier. I think somehow we stopped here. Okay. So what are the responsibilities of an occupier? Who is mean by occupier? Any guess?
MD, sir, Managing Director.
Okay, managing directors, or sometimes joint managing directors, sometimes plant head, sometimes CEO, sometimes CFO. So who will having designatory authority or signatory authority for that entire facility will be call them as occupiers. Okay, fine. So
Sir,
here the
good evening, sir.
yep.
Hello. Sir,
Good evening. Good evening.
by mistake, yesterday class I have not joined. Can you
Hmm.
recap in short?
वही तो अभी तो रिकैप दिया है नवनीत.
ओके, मैं अभी ज्वाइन किया हूँ सर.
हाँ फिर ठीक है. लास्ट में 2 मिनट लेता हूँ आपके लिए. ठीक है.
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू सर.
हाँ हाँ हाँ, ठीक है. सो अब आप इधर से सुनाइए. जो जो अभी पॉइंट नंबर 4 से जो जो पहले हुआ है मैं बताता हूँ लास्ट में. ठीक है. फाइन. सो व्हेन आई टॉक अबाउट द occupier in each and every legal requirement. For example, if you take Factories Act, if you take these hazardous waste management rules, if you take boilers, if you take Environmental Protection Act, if you take PESO related, so everywhere we have some set of defined roles and responsibilities. So here, when I talk about responsibility, the rule shall apply an industrial activity in which hazardous chemicals, which satisfied any of the criteria laid down in the Part 1 of the Schedule 1 and Column 2 and 3 of Schedule 2. if the chemicals are listed in that. Then also second clause, the isolated storage of hazardous chemicals listed in Schedule 2 in a quantity equal or more than the threshold quantity specified in column 3 of Schedule 2. These are the two conditions. Then these specific rules are apply. So अभी वो occupier क्या करना है? An occupier who has control on the industrial activity in terms of sub rule 1, which is this one, the sub rule 1, shall be provide evidence to show that he has identified a major accident hazards and taken adequate steps to prevent such major accidents and to limit their consequences to persons as well as environment, and also provide the persons working on the site with the information, training and equipment including antidotes necessary to ensure their safety. So it is simple that he has to identify what are the potential hazards associated with this, and also the potential emergency situations with the activities which are happening in that specific site. And also he has to implement the preventive measures, and also he has to inform and also give training including equipments to handle such kind of emergencies. Okay, he has to arrange. When I talk about antidotes, which are nothing but if the person is exposing to a certain kind of chemical, so it is a kind of medicine. Exactly, we can't keep it as an antidotes. It is a kind of medicine where it can uh, reject the exposure, or which can prevent the consequences of the exposure. Then notification of major incident. So this is also one of the role where a major accident, we have seen the definition previously. When it's a major accident, a loss of lives, or a people 10 or more injured within or outside the premises, or two or more people outside the premises, or any major leakage, spillage, explosion and fire happens, those we consider as a major accident. So when we talk about reporting of that major accident, here any accident occurs on the site in a pipeline, or occupier shall within 48 hours notify the concerned authority as identified in Schedule 5 of the accident. So Schedule 5 is for reporting of the accident, and furnish thereafter the concerned authority a report related to the accidents in the installments in necessary, if necessary, in Schedule 6. So Schedule 5 will be the list of authorities, 6 will be the required data respect to that incident. We'll see in the end those schedules. Then what will happen? Up to inform kiya hai, then we have started, I mean, informing once the incident occurred. Then the concerned authority shall, on receipt of the report in accordance with the sub rule 1 of this rule, shall undertake the full analysis and majority major accident, and send the request information within 90 days to the Ministry of Environment and Forest through the appropriate channel. So what they do, the respective authorities within 90 days. So these guys do the investigation. Then they analyze. They will identify the root cause of the incidents. Then it will go to a Ministry of MOEF, Ministry of Forest, Environment and Forest. They will get the report from these authorities. That is their responsibility. And again, an occupier shall notify the concerned authority steps taken to avoid any repetition of such occurrences on the site. So this is the actions, the corrective actions or the preventive actions they have taken to avoid the reoccurrence of a similar incident. So what is the difference between preventive and corrective action?
Preventive means the actions taken in order to avoid such occurrences. Corrective means after happening.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Srinivas. Then the concerned authority shall compile with information regarding the major accidents and available a copy of the same to the Ministry of Environment and Forest. So again, the same copy, whatever the corrective actions which are proposed by the occupier, they will send it to the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Again, the concerned authority shall in writing inform the occupier of any the learnancy which in its opinion needs to be rectified to avoid the major accidents. And also the authorities also will give certain corrections or recommendations to implement in the sites to avoid the reoccurrence of the same. Okay. So industrial activities to which rules 7 to 15 is applicable. So there are rules following that, these rules. Which rules applicable from 7 to 15 for which kind of operations? So here we have any industrial activity in which the column 2 of schedule 3 and also column 3 and 4, the rule number 10 to 12 only for column 4. 7 to 15 you will applicable for schedule 3 of column 2 and column 3 and column 4, the chemicals which are listed, for them it is only rule number 10 to 12 only applicable. Okay. If it is in a industrial activity, so where you are processing your chemical, it means there is a manufacturing process is happening. If it is only storage, so sometimes you'll have only the storage facilities, from there you used to transfer your chemicals to your manufacturing process. In such a case, here column 2 of schedule 2 and also column 3 and 4 and 4 which is 10 and 12, so similar kind of application. So when talk about rule number 7 to 15, which is applicable only for the column 2 of schedule 3 and also 3 comma 4. In 4 it is only 10 to 12 is applicable. So 7 to 10, 9 which are not applicable for the chemicals listed in column 4. Okay. So now we'll see what is the purpose of this rules 7 to 15. So basically, a new industrial activity means an industrial activity in which the comments after the date of coming into the operation of these rules. When I talk about new, so these rules are came into force in 1989. So after that, whatever the industries which came into the picture, so those will be obliged to follow these rules. And if commenced before the date is an industrial activity in which a modification has been made, which is likely to cover major accident hazards, and the activity shall be deemed to have commenced on the date which modification was made. If it is an existing, pre-existing industries before 1989, in case of any modifications which will fall under this, then those rules has to be applicable. Again, an existing industrial activity means an industrial activity which is not a new industrial activity. That is a basic definition. When you say existing, it is already there before the publication of these rules. And second one, approval and notification of the sites. So when we come up with a new site, how this approval happen. So basically, occupier shall not undertake any industrial activity unless he has been granted an approval for undertaking such an activity and has submitted a written report to the concerned authority containing the particulars specified in schedule 7 at least 3 months before commissioning that activity or before such shorter time as concerned authority may agree and for the purpose of this paragraph. It means, for example, if I am planning to build my factory in July, so I have to report in April itself. So at least 3 months before, I have to furnish the information which is in schedule 7. Or sometimes if the authorities agreed, okay, 2 महीने पहले भी I mean कर सकता है, then it is fine. Or else otherwise at least 3 months before, if you are starting with an MAH installation as per the list of chemicals which are there, if you are using in that process, you have to inform at least 3 months before. The concerned authority within 60 days from the date of receipt of the report shall approve the report submitted and also the consideration of the report if it is in the opinion that the contravention of provision of the act and rules made thereunder has taken place, and it shall be issue notice under rule number 19. So once you submit within 60 days, so they will approve your application by verifying all the concerns have been met by this Environmental Protection Act as well as this MSIC rules 1989. Okay. Then updating on the site notification following changes in the threshold quantities. In case of any changes in the quantities of your storage, where an activity has been reported in accordance with rule 7.1, which is this, we are talking about 3 months before, and the occupier makes a changes in it, including an increase or decrease in the maximum threshold quantity of the hazardous chemical to which these rules apply, which is or a liable to be at the site or in the pipeline or in the cessation of the activity, which affects the particulars specified in the report or any subsequent report made under these rules, the occupier shall forthwith furnish a further report to the concerned authority. It is simple that only in case of any modification happens. So either you are increasing the quantity than the defined threshold quantity, or if you are having the lesser the quantity which is the threshold quantity, then you have to give a report or intimation to the respective authorities. Then transitional provision. So where at the date of coming into operation of these rules, an occupier is in the control of existing industrial activity, which is required to be reported under 7.1 or within 6 months after the date or occupier commence any such new industrial activities. Okay. So existing industries from the date which is came in within the 6 months, they have to notify to the authorities. Okay. Again, it shall be in sufficient compliance that the rule of his report to be concerned authority as per the particular in Schedule 7 within 3 months after the date of coming into operation of these rules, or within such longer time as concerned authority may agree in writing. So again, once you submitted within 3 months of time, they will come up with an agreement or saying that okay with the in writing format. Then rule number 10, which is safety reports and safety audit reports. So this is also one of the requirement. We used to conduct safety audits on yearly basis or annual basis audits. Okay. Here what we do, so basically a third party or authorized, we can say the competent person, there also come. Subject to the following paragraphs of this rule, an occupier shall not undertake any industrial activity to which these rules applies unless he has prepared a safety report on the industrial activity containing the information specified in Schedule 8 and has sent a copy of report to the concerned authority at least 90 days before commissioning that activity. I think it is good to better we'll see the schedules so that you will get an idea what kind of information. Okay, schedule 1. We'll talk about this part 1. Schedule 6, 7, and schedule 8. Yeah. Hope you could able to see schedule 8, right? Anyone confirm, please?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the safety report format. So whoever audits your facility, they will give report in this format. Okay, this kind of these are the set of information. You will have the name and address of the person furnishing the information, which is nothing but occupier. The description of industrial activity, we talk about site, construction and design, production measures which we have, and what are the processes which are available in the facility. There you talk about technology, the basic principles, and as well as process description, safety related types of utilities, and description of hazardous chemicals, which means the quantities, etc. Then you have information on preliminary hazard analysis, then safety relevant units. Then you'll have information on hazard assessments, whether you have done any hazard assessment, identification of hazards or the causes for that, etc. And description of information on original systems. Then you'll have information on mitigation of major about fire brigade system, alarm systems, emergency systems, district coordination system, authority emergency district emergency authority, how notification of will provide. Apart from that, they will give as a recommendation as well. Okay. Okay. Fine. That is safety report. Okay. So then, in the case of any new activity which an occupier commence or by virtue of sub rule 2A2 of rule number 6, it is deemed to commence within 6 months after the coming into operation of these rules. It shall be sufficient compliance with sub rule 1 of this rule if the occupier sends the concerned authority a copy of the report required in accordance with the sub rule within 90 days after the date of coming into operation of these rules. Okay, within 90 days if it is in a new facility. Okay, in the case of one is before, if it is new, again after the commencement you will submit a report. Then in the case of existing industrial activity, the occupier shall prepare a safety report in consultation with the concerned authority and submit the same within 1 year from the date of commencement of this manufacturing and storage and import of hazardous chemicals rules to the concerned authority. Existing facilities within 1 year. For example, already those are existing, they are not new. So they'll have a time of 1 year they can submit. Then after the commencement of this MHIC rules, the occupier of the both new and existing industrial activity shall carry out an independent safety audit of the respective industrial activities with the help of an expert not associated with such industrial activities. Which means when I say independent, a third party. A report you will prepare. Sometimes for the report also will take consultants support, third party support. Then you have to perform an independent audit who is not having any relation with your process. So they have to do an audit in respect of industrial activity with the help of an expert not associated with such industrial activities, who is not having any relation with your activities. And the occupier shall forward a copy of auditor's report along with his comments on the concerned authority within 30 days after the completion of such audit. So this audit used to happens on annual basis. Once you what happened suddenly? Okay. So the concerned authority may, if deems fit, the issuance of improvement notice under rule number 19 within 45 days of submission of the said report. So what will happen in case of any improvements required? Then after your submission of the report, they will give within the 45 days, they will give a written reply. So they will say that some third party expert will give some advices or suggestions or improvements. So if those are not meeting the specific observation, then the concerned authority also can give some recommendations. Okay. Then updating of reports under rule number 10. Rule number 10 is talking about what? Safety reports and safety audit reports. So when talk about updating, so where an occupier has made a safety report in accordance with the rule number 10 shall not make any modification to the industrial activity to which that the safety report relates, which could materially affect the particulars in the report, unless he has made a further report to take account of those modifications and has sent a copy of the report to the concerned authority at least 90 days before making those modifications. It is simple that you will be submitting a report based on your
Meaning not
existing.
visible
Sir, your
here.
screen sharing is not. Hello?
It is not visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not
No,
visible.
sir, skin not visible.
Is not visible.
Sorry for that.
हाँ
Okay,
नीचे
I'll
बैठ यहाँ
reshare.
बताइए यहाँ नीचे बैठ जाए यहाँ बताइए बता दीजिए यहाँ बैठ जाए यहाँ बैठ जाए
I'll share again. Just a second, please. अभी तो गया था ना पहले. It is visible, I think, previously. Maybe. Is it visible now?
वर्क कर सर
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Something is wrong. Okay. So when I talk about the modifications or updates of this report, in the sense, it is simple that, so based on your operations, you would have prepared a report. So that report contains what are the technologies, processes, descriptions, procedures, safety controls which you are following in your factory. So in case of you're going for any modification, so before executing that modification, you have to submit a revised, a modified safety report 90 days before to the authorities. That is the just updating the reports. So where occupier has made a report in accordance with rule number 10 and these rules, industrial activity, continuing, the occupier shall within the 3 years of the date of last such report make a further report which shall regard to in particular to the new technology or technical knowledge which has affected a particulars in this previous report related to safety and hazard assessment shall be within 30 days and send a copy of report to the concerned authority. Okay. And after once in 3 years, so you'll be submitting the revised report as well. Okay. Then requirement of further information to be sent to the authority, that is the rule number 12. Okay, what kind of information? So where in accordance with rule number 10 will prepare a safety report and the safety audit report relating to the industrial activity to the concerned authority, then concerned authority may be by notice served on the occupier, require him to provide such additional information as may be specified in the notice, and the occupier shall send the information to the concerned authority within 90 days. First, initially, you have made your safety report with your process descriptions, everything with the safety controls you had. Then later, if the authority is specifically asking for any specific data in addition to the report which you have submitted, so we have to reply to that authority within 90 days with the additional information attaching to that his letter. Okay, that is about information to be sent to the authority, or further information need to be given to the authority. Then we have preparation to on-site emergency plan. This is rule number 13. So why we need to prepare? For the preparation of on-site emergency plan also, we have a specific requirement. Okay. So what is that? An occupier shall prepare and keep up to date an on-site emergency plan containing details specified in Schedule 2 and detailing how a major accidents will be dealt with on site on which industrial activity which is carried on, and the plan shall include name of the person who is responsible for safety on the site and the names of who are authorized to take action in accordance with the plan in the case of an emergency. So ultimately, occupier will be the ultimate responsible or accountable person in case of any emergency. Then also set of people, incident controller, site controller, who will have the authority to take actions in the case of emergency, which is nothing but roles and responsibilities of certain set of people. For example, we have ERT team coordinator or site controller, incident controller, or the licensing department, HR team, what they will do. Such kind of roles and responsibilities also it has to be defined. Okay. So we have 17 seconds. I'm stopping here. We'll continue after the break from point number 2. Okay.
Hello, sir.